currency, and that's the biggest transformation that we have seen. And I'm sure this blueprint that we aspire to create will be one that will demonstrate the world about scalability. This blueprint that we are going to create will talk about the great pedagogy that we have, right? Even when we introduce alphabets into our education system, friends, how many of you are in Tamil, knows Tamil here? Can you put your hands up? Yeah, a few of them. So we introduce alphabet, Manoj, Aram Sayya Virumbu, Aruvadu Sinam, Ivadu Karavet. We just start do merits. A stands for Aram. Aram means do merit. Your anger will subside. So these type of moral values is what we start teaching, even when we start teaching alphabets. I think we are the only educational system, only Bharat has this education system, which is completely bringing out a holistic development. And I think that is what we will be capturing in our pedagogy. The fourth important thing is, today, Bharat celebrates the unity in the diversity. We have 22 official languages, and we are going to bridge this gap. As you had seen, many demos had come from Sarvam, where we are, when we talk in one language, it can be broadcasted to multiple languages. And that is very, very important today from the education perspective, because teaching in mother tongue is extremely important, and the grasping power is high. The concepts could be well explained and understood. The last thing that we would like to put here is that we will be the blueprint, 100%, I am very sure, very confident, that will talk of how AI can help the student right from K to research, how AI can help the parents identify certain skills and certain, certain things that the child cannot do. Many of you would have seen Tare Zameen Par, the movie where it took the 5th standard kid was detected to have autism. I think we need to find those things and fine-tune the kid to do what they were good at. I think this will be a great guidance. I think the AI template will bring up. The third important thing that we would like to put here is for the teacher, how the teacher can do a personalized tutoring of the student. And this is also very important. We have a very, very mammoth task of bringing our GER to 50% by 2035, and AI is going to play a very, very important role. So to sum up, we will create a blueprint which no other country could create, and I'm very confident of that. Thank you very much.
Dr. Vibhu, it's for you. Your perspective is partially coming from California, US. How critical is it for India to build its own AI models, specifically designed for our own Indian context and the constraints? Which sectors, such as education, agriculture, healthcare, governance, do you see should have the highest impact priorities for us? And who should lead this effort? Government institutions, academia, startups, or public-private partnerships? Finally, what core infrastructure will determine our success? Data, compute, talent, or something else?
So, thank you for having me, and the greetings to all the audience members, especially the officials from the Ministry of Education. I think it's very important for all of us, every country and every unique entity, to try and figure out how they are going to own critical components of their future going forward. AI is probably the single biggest industrial factor that's going to determine success down the line for the next 100 years. I will make the claim that it's as important as the printing press. During the time the printing press was first introduced, there was actually a similar debate as to whether countries should or should not encourage the deployment of the press, because publication was considered to be a somewhat risky process. Countries that did not lean into having large-scale dissemination of books fell behind. In education, there is a statement that says if you don't learn to read, you won't be able to read in order to learn. If we don't build our own LLMs, the inability to use AI will cause any country to fall further and further behind. AI is an amplifier. It can make a single person be as productive as a much larger number of people. It can help us, in some sense, fill gaps that exist in every organization. And so I think it's very critical that India have its own LLM and its own models. There are other reasons to do this as well. Our knowledge, culture, sensitivities are all unique. And I think every country, but especially a country as unique, as diverse, with a tradition as rich as ours, needs to have a model that India has built and India can control. On to the second part of Professor Gaur's question, which sectors would I think are most relevant? I think almost all of these sectors are going to be massively impacted. Healthcare, in some sense, especially in the US, consumes much more resources, financial resources, than almost any other sector does. So one might answer healthcare. Agriculture in India employs about half of the population, so potentially even agriculture is a sector to try and lean into. But the sector that I am most personally interested in, and I think we should lean into, is education, because education in some ways is something that most of our population, especially the population under 22, interacts with on a daily basis. Nothing else comes close to the amount of time we spend on education. If we can amplify the impact of AI on education, we will have the greatest lever for changing things. So from my personal perspective, I would actually vote very strongly for education. Finally, to the last question, I think there are only three parts. Which of these sectors or which of these factors will actually contribute to success? Resources, people, data, compute. I would even throw in policies and money. I think data is the most important. Models will keep improving every year, but the data that goes into those models is priceless and hard to collect. We will build better and better models with better algorithms, but the data needs to be carefully thought about, curated, organized, and deployed in ways that can help us build the right things. India, in some sense, has the longest history of written materials around. So for us to be able to collect all of the data,
AI textbooks and the translations.
Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you for the question, and it's a pleasure to be here. Uh, the initiatives like Sathe, what they have been doing is creating content and delivering them at scale. But that scale is still not comprehensive enough to cover all nooks and corners of this country. And that is where infusion of AI tools into delivery of this content comes into play. What Sathe has been doing is creating local resource centers with suitable people employed there who can get access to even villages and students there. But as I said, it is not comprehensive, and in order to make it comprehensive, the integration of AI tools, which will deliver this content either through a local center or going further, using the digital media through smartphones and through popular applications like WhatsApp or similar ones. That's going to be crucial in ensuring that the digital divide that you speak to is not there. Every content, every model that is to be used for training the students should be available to all students. It's going to be a mammoth effort because it's going to require development of low bandwidth models which can even work offline at times. It's also in parallel going to require an extensive deployment of, well, extension of 5G and then upcoming 6G networks, which can take the bandwidths to all parts of the country. And of course, the smartphone infusion that is happening in parallel anyway. So with all of these in place, which I'm sure will be there in next year or two, the delivery of content, provided we can develop the right set of small models for them, will be universal. And that is going to be the key in ensuring that the quality education reaches to every single student of the country.
Next question for Professor Sunita Saraugi. Ministry of Education's long-term vision emphasizes translating advanced AI research into scalable educational impact. How can India bridge cutting-edge AI research with classroom-level deployment through national platforms and institutional partnerships while ensuring that research outputs meaningfully improve large-scale learning systems for impact?
Hello. Yeah. Thank you. This is a very timely question. I believe however much impressive AI models are, they are still constantly evolving. Also, our own ideas of how to meaningfully incorporate AI so that we inculcate the right pedagogical principles and do not degrade the cognitive development of the students with AI requires a lot of research. So the number one consideration we should have in any national level platform that we build, which facilitates dissemination of AI-enabled education, should have the property that it should be very dynamic and responsive. So as far as I see, there are, of course, obvious problems related to making the foundational AI models multilingual, multimodal, and, seeped in our culture. But another very important challenge I see is the steerability of AI models. We want AI models to be regulated by teachers when they are used by students for augmenting their learning. And I don't see the current prompt-based steering of AI models adequate for such important deployment where we want to have human oversight in how AI is used for learning so as to not degrade the cognitive development of the students. So, of course, first we have to create this test bed comprising of large models which has these properties that I mentioned. And in parallel, we have to work along two fronts. We have these excellent nationwide platforms like SWAYAM, NPTEL, and Diksha, and those obviously have to be made AI-enabled so that we have more personalized education, more personalized learning, greater accessibility to people with disabilities. So those are obvious things that we should invest on. But in parallel, we should also think about, does AI enablement, given that knowledge is now so cheaply accessible, should we also encourage our students to think about solving grand challenge problems much sooner? So here I would like to call out a project Eklavya that Professor Swami Manohar has been championing. You can see articles about his vision in Medium and other forum. So that also, while we sort of make conventional modes of learning AI enabled, we should also think about new kinds of things that we do during learning. Another vision he has is that of providing with every student a lifelong agent that not only helps him fill his learning gaps, his or her learning gaps during normal learning process in school, but also, enables him or her to develop skills as they go through their professional career for full lifelong learning. A third very important point I want to make is that we need to use this dynamic environment. Vibhu mentioned the crucial importance of data, and as digitized AI-enabled learning is made nationwide and widespread, we should use this opportunity to provide privacy protected access to data to researchers so that they can develop algorithms which have greater chance of translational impact. And I would really like to call out that while we create national level efforts, researchers also play this very, very crucial role of connecting us to the technological developments that are happening worldwide. As we connect with the international research community, education that way is a human level challenge, and we also need to collaborate with the rest of the world as we come up with the best method of solving our problems. Thank you.
Okay, Vibhu, because she mentioned Project Ek Laiva, which I'm aware of, so I relate the next question to you. Policies, pedagogical strategies are imperative for integrating AI tools in education, which we mentioned, while safeguarding enhancing core human cognitive skills, critical thinking, creativity, and curiosity. You have studied in IT Bombay. In the current scenario, how can education system, if reformed, will develop an AI-ready talent with skills that complement and possibly surpass machine capabilities?
So this is, I think, probably the most interesting question, and I can afford to be a little bit controversial. I think education is the field that will change the most. And I think in some ways, because I only have 2 minutes to talk about it, I will even say that within education, the thing that will change the most is the form of content delivery. We have had books for 500 years, and they have not really fundamentally changed. I think in the next few years, we will see books being replaced by essentially the equivalent of AI models. Books that will allow you to talk to the book, talk to the author of the book, argue with the author of the book. Wouldn't you like to be able to read the Mahabharata from the viewpoint of either the author or from the viewpoint of Draupadi or Vidur? You want to be able to try and get descriptions, understanding, analysis of all of these things in ways that have never been possible. So I think actually the way education will change is that we will no longer focus on rote learning, we will no longer focus on memorization, we will focus more on analysis, we will focus more on pushing the boundaries. And I'll keep this very short because just before Professor Gaur came up to me in the morning, I was reminded of a Pali word that I don't know how to pronounce. So for any of you in the audience who know Pali, forgive me. The word is Ananya Ananta Samintindriya, which is a word that I don't think has an equivalent translation in any language. It says, I look forward to the joy of knowing things that I know I do not yet know. I think in some ways education will change to try and drive more curiosity, more drive, increase motivation because of the inherent joy in learning things. So from my point of view, especially given that I am seated on a podium with 3 IIT directors, let me be controversial and say maybe we will not need IITs teaching the way they do today.
Here we'll take a quick pause. I would like to invite Honorable Minister of State, Shri Jayant Chaudhary ji, on the stage to share his thoughts with the panelists and with the audience.
Honorable Cabinet Minister Dharmendra Pradhan ji, our very distinguished panel of experts, our reservoir of knowledge, and to listen to whom this very select audience is here. Of course, it's a disparate audience from technologists to researchers, students. And the success of this AI summit that is happening for the first time, a global event of this stature in the global south, is that we've also drawn in what could be perceived as a casual visitor who is inquisitive. We don't know what impact this summit, this congregation, this conversation, what deep-rooted impact it is going to have on that casual visitor, who today may just be a consumer, but can definitely be the thinker and innovator and producer of the future. If you look at technology, technology will always break down walls. But sometimes technology can also erect their own barriers. And that is where this summit is a departure, and this technology offers a different promise. This is not AI summit. It is IndiaAI Impact Summit. Can AI become a common good? How can these technologies become more citizen-centric? How they can empower our learners, our teachers, our students, our workers, our researchers, our entrepreneurs. So there are three ideas, three questions, three thoughts that I, sitting there, thought of that I'll share with you. First idea is, how can citizens at mass engage with AI? And here I commend the vision and the work put in by IIT Madras, which was given the Center of Excellence for Education, an Honorable Minister and our leadership, our Prime Minister, thinking of and ideating on us building a stack, the education stack, the full spectrum. We know we are capturing a lot of data. We know we have academic bank of credit. We have a digital backbone. We are now able to capture minutest details of the educational journey of every student of our country. And the same applies to skilling through Skill India Digital Hub. How we can offer and use that data to ensure that our models represent Indian cultural ethos, Indian context, Indian challenges, Indian problems, and how these technologies and platforms can help solve those problems. That is the core idea behind Bodhan AI and the India Stack. Second question is, how will students and educational systems engage with AI? And here, in skilling, we've always been talking and emphasizing on lifelong learning. When I was in school, the most popular question that was asked by any outsider who would come to school would be, "Beta, bade hoke kya banna chahte ho? डॉक्टर बनना चाहते हो या इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हो?" जो ज़्यादा क्रिएटिव बच्चा था वो कहता था मैं एस्ट्रोनॉट बनना चाहता हूँ. But now, these major vertical buckets may not exist in the same way as careers. Within those large vertical buckets, now students of today and the future will have to think about the micro skill, the bundling of skill, and how to renew their knowledge of the application of that knowledge through skilling. So that lifelong skilling, which we've always been talking about, somehow, because of AI, I have the confidence that as a concept, it is going to become and emerge as a very strong realization by all the students of India. That is how AI is going to impact how students engage with AI. And my hope, and I'm saying this as Minister of Education for School, is that once you're able to continuously path the journey, assess the journey of every student, maybe someday you can do away with examinations. Because examinations are a static assessment at one point. But with AI, you can have a more intuitive understanding of every child who is special, every child who's unique. And here I come to the third point. How will teachers, who are the fulcrum, who are the center point of our educational family, who are our major way of delivering reforms, how will our teachers engage with AI? Out there in nature, it is survival of the fittest. But in schools, we are able to create a cocoon of safety, where curiosity is also rewarded. And here, like I said, every child has unique possibilities, and every child may not be keeping pace with every other child. When you design a system, you design for the average. But National Education Policy 2020 has given us the task, given the educationalists a task, given teachers a task, given the school systems a task, that you have to take care of every single child. And I have the confidence, looking at the kind of robust technologies, the startups we have just witnessed, there are many tools and products out there that teachers can use to ensure that no child is left behind. And lastly, I offer, because it's a unique audience and a great platform, on Skill India Digital Hub, we've launched a 15-hour course, free. You choose your own from top vendors. They have given us this course. It's a creditized course, 15 hours, you will get a certificate, you will understand the concept, and we want to send a very strong message to the whole world that India, at mass, at scale, we not only understand AI, but we are in a position to utilize AI, and we are in a position to provide leadership on the concepts of AI. So I invite the whole audience. I have done the course. It's not difficult. Please look at Skill India Digital Hub and sign up for SOAR. Thank you.
Now I invite the visionary behind our AI-driven transformation at Ministry of Education, the Honorable Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji. From the earliest concept to the creation of Center of Excellence in Agriculture, Health, Education, and Sustainable Cities, his leadership has anchored at AI within the ministry's core mission. Sir, the floor is yours to outline the strategic vision for AI-enabled education in India.
नमस्कार, थैंक यू गौर साहब। मैं सबसे पहले विभू जी को अभिनंदन करता हूं। इसीलिए अभिनंदन करता हूं, आपने 3 आईआईटी डायरेक्टर बिठा के उनको आईना दिखाया, बेटा सुधर जाओ नहीं तो रहोगे ही नहीं। आईआईटी की घमंड में मत रहो, नया दुनिया बन रहा है। मित्रों, मैं आप सभी को नया दुनिया में स्वागत करता हूं और आप सबको सौभाग्यशाली मानता हूं। आपने भारत की ओर से आयोजित किया गया एआई इम्पैक्ट सम्मेलन का हिस्सा बने, एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट की पार्टिसिपेंट बने। निश्चित रूप में आप यहीं से एक नई दुनिया का इंस्पिरेशन लेके जाओगे। सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको शुभेच्छा देता हूं। मित्रों, मैं जब यहाँ आ रहा था, मेरे मित्र जयंत जी और हम दोनों, मैं मित्रों टेक्नोक्रेट नहीं हूं, मैं पब्लिक पॉलिसी और जनता के साथ जुड़ने वाला व्यक्ति हूं। मैं एक नई उत्साह, नई उमंग, नई दुनिया देख पा रहा था। मैं जयंत जी को कह रहा था, जयंत जी, दुनिया, ट्रेडिशनल दुनिया जिस प्रकार से सोचता है उससे काफी अलग भारत की नई पीढ़ी सोचने लगा है। अभी मैं बैठे बैठे सोच रहा था, एआई इन एजुकेशन और एजुकेशन इन एआई दोनों परिपूरक है। एआई के माध्यम से एजुकेट होना और एआई के बारे में खुद को एजुकेट करना हम सभी के लिए एक नई दुनिया बन चुकी है। मैं कभी कभी सोचता हूं, अभी फिर मैं विभू जी को कोट करूंगा, उन्होंने पाली भाषा के कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस का उच्चारण किया। शायद अभी वो एआई की किसी ने प्रॉम्प्ट नहीं किया होगा, इसलिए उसकी भावार्थ के बारे में, उनकी मीनिंग के बारे में, उसकी डीपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बारे में कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म, कोई भी एलएलएम शायद उसके उत्तर देने में अभी संभव नहीं होगा। इसीलिए हम भारत में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट का आयोजन किया। मित्रों, भारत 21वीं सदी में एक नॉलेज बेस्ड सोसाइटी की ओर बढ़ रहा है, ज्ञान आधारित समाज की ओर बढ़ रहा है और हमारी इकोनॉमी हम जो आज दुनिया की 4th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी बने हैं, आने वाले दिनों में हम और बड़ा साइज की इकोनॉमी बनने वाले हैं। तब हम क्या कंज्यूमिंग इकोनॉमी रहेंगे या प्रोड्यूसिंग और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोनॉमी बनेंगे? हमें लगता है एआई हमको एक अवसर दे रहा है। हमारी जो मल्टी डायमेंशनल सोसाइटी है, मल्टीकल्चरल सोसाइटी है, मल्टीलिंगुअल सोसाइटी है, कॉम्प्लेक्स सोसाइटी है, जिसके आरंभ वेदकालीन समय से हुई है आज एआई इंपैक्ट समिट तक, इस सारे दुनिया को समझना, अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द मल्टी डायमेंशनलिटी, ये हमारे सामने सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है। और उसको लोक कल्याण में उसको यूज करना, उसको रिलेट करना, उसको ट्रांसलेट करना, उसको ट्रांसमिट करना, ये सब करने के लिए एआई एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण टूल बन चुकी है। मैं भारत की नई पीढ़ी को आज इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आह्वान करना चाहता हूँ, इसके बारे में अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ाएं, इसके बारे में डरने की कोई कारण नहीं है, इसकी नई आयाम को बनाएं, हमें टीम वर्क और बढ़ाएं, हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी, स्टार्टअप्स, बिग कंपनी के साथ एक बिग पिक्चर बनाएं। हमारे सामने आने वाले दिनों में भारत की यंगस्टर्स, भारत की नई पीढ़ी एक एआई लेड, एआई ड्रिवेन ग्लोबल नॉलेज सेंटर बनेगा। इस शुभेच्छा के साथ आप सबको इस पैनल डिस्कशन में, बड़ा इमीडिएट पैनल यहाँ बना है, मैं पैनलिस्ट को आभार प्रकट करता हूँ, आप सभी को शुभेच्छा देता हूँ। इस महत्वपूर्ण प्लेटफॉर्म में इकट्ठा होकर हम सब के सामने टारगेट है 2047 तक भारत को विकसित करना है, भारत को एक डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमी में कन्वर्ट करना है। उसकी रास्ता एआई के माध्यम से हो। अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा।
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring address and articulating such a clear, forward-looking vision for advancing AI-enabled education in India. Your guidance provides strategic direction for all of us. We work together towards building future-ready education ecosystem for the nation. So, Rajan, on the Edtech pivot you mentioned earlier, we have seen post-COVID Zoom era Edtech bubble and aftermath. With AI mission providing GPU access at a reasonable rate, do you see a new breed of AI native Indian startups, which you mentioned earlier, that can actually compete on IP rather than just marketing?
Yeah, so I think first thing is it's very difficult for a consumer internet company in India to compete on marketing today because there are lots of large companies that spend a lot more, right? So you have to have real IP, you have to have a real value proposition. As I mentioned before, I would say, look, from a next new generation of AI native edtech companies, we are already beginning to see the emergence of those, as I mentioned, in edtech companies, actually Indian now, based in India. And we'll see a lot more of that. I actually wanted to use the time, since we have this amazing forum, to make two asks. I think it's wonderful that we have the AI centers of excellence. We have a big focus. But for India to really now go from, we are now building models. This week we'll see them. I think we'll have state-of-the-art models that go from 2 billion to 100 billion parameters. But if we really want to build an AI leader in the world, right, we have to lead the next generation. We have to build world models. We have to find new architectures. And to do that, we need to have many more AI researchers. The US and the UK today have 3,000 top-tier AI researchers each. The UK has 2,300, and India has 200. So my first ask is, since the Ministry of Higher Education is also represented, we have Minister here, how do we get to have 5,000 to 10,000 world-class, top-tier AI researchers. Because if we do that, we win. Right? So that's the first. I think the second ask is the AI mission has been great to have. I think the last count was 34,000 GPUs that are available. But I would love to see each of the IITs get maybe the IITs plus the IISCs and maybe the top 20 technical schools in the country get 2,000 to 3,000 GPUs so that researchers can do real research. Because, you know, it's very difficult to do AI research if you only have 22 GPUs. You just can't do that. You know, so today, any given one of the top 10 AI companies has more GPUs than all of India. So those are my two asks.
Professor Manindra, for you, changing tracks, how do we prevent cognitive atrophy? It's a word which is being used. With scaled up AI in education, if AI handles the logic, what happens to thinking capacity of the generation that is supposed to lead India for Viksit Bharat at 2047?
Well, it's already a well-studied phenomenon that reliance on usage of AI leads to cognitive decline. And I'll draw an analogy with the era of mechanization. When that came in, it led to physical decline in across the human population, obesity, lifestyle diseases, they all came in. And then came in gyms, specialized places which physically trained you. So I expect something very similar to happen in future with respect to cognitive abilities. There will be cognitive gyms coming up, which will allow those who are interested to train their mental abilities to bring them to a position where they can function properly.
Thank you. Professor Kamakoti, it's one sentence predictions. I'll ask a couple of you. In 2035, will the world look for India or to India for its algorithms or its augmented humans? Which should be our calling and true frontier?
Algorithms.
Professor Saragi, what is the biggest win we should aspire by 2030 and fast forward to 2047?
Yeah, actually with AI, knowledge will become cheap, but we have to make sure that people get purpose and a sense of meaning, because if we are not rewarded on striving, then we have to find sort of other meanings in life, maybe from our community, develop mental resilience, and be better prepared to face the new challenges that we will get out of physical limitations of resources.
Vibhu, last one-liner for you. Again, I'll repeat the same question. 2035, will the world look to India for its algorithms or augmented humans? Which should be our calling as a country?
Algorithms.
So, we had a very engaging discussion. I would like to conclude now. So, 4 defining messages emerged from our panel today as critical takeaways. First, our approach, India's approach to AI in education is systemic. It's anchored in digital public infrastructure, moving beyond simple adoption forward, an enabler for a complete transformation of our research ecosystem, which is the need of the hour. Second, the Ministry of Education has evolved into a strategic ecosystem orchestrator by connecting governance, industry, and frontier research. We are building powerful, sustainable models for responsible AI innovation at scale. Third, the real frontier is not just technological readiness, but institutional courage. The challenge ahead lies in preparing our teachers, institutions, universities, and governance systems to adopt AI both meaningfully and equitably. What stands out most is that India is not merely adopting tools, we are building national capability. Through our AI Center of Excellence, curriculum reforms, translational values, and talent pipelines, we are creating a global reference model for large-scale transformation. As we march towards Viksit Bharat 2047, our task is to ensure that AI remains a primary enabler for inclusion, quality, and opportunity across the entire education continuum and society. Before I conclude, I leave you with one final reflection. In a world where AI can replicate our expertise, how do we redefine the unique value of human spirit at work? I thank all the distinguished panelists and wonderful audience for the contributing to this vital national conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And to close this session, I would extend a warm thank you to our Honorable Minister, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji, Minister of State, Mr. Jayant Chaudhary, the Organizing Committee, Minister of Education, and I, Aishwarya Upadhyay, on behalf of CPMU IIT Jammu, who would like to thank you all to grace this event and officially close this session. I would request everyone to be seated on their seat and let the dignitaries proceed. Thank you. The next session is on